There is two types of individuals who really understand what is narcissism. There's the narcissist and there's the victim of narcissistic abuse. But there is only one type of individual who deeply understands the depth and the consequences of getting involved with the narcissist. So they deeply understand what and how it feels to be abused by a narcissist. That is the victim. On the other hand, the narcissists cannot relate because the narcissists, like I've always mentioned, they are empty beings, they are empty souls. So they cannot relate with the pain. They don't know how it feels like because they enjoy, actually, it looks as if the narcissist actually, they are enjoying the drama, they are enjoying the chaos, they are enjoying the movie. For a narcissist, it's a game. For the victims of narcissistic abuse, it's real. Because as empaths, we deeply feel this torture, we deeply feel this abuse. We can relate and we can understand how serious and how damaging narcissistic abuse can be. In this video, I'm going to talk about a soul tie. Before I talk about the soul tie, I'm going to show you a couple of pictures, photographs of myself and how deeply I was getting abused, how deeply I was sitting in this kind of abuse, even that I didn't know I was dealing with narcissist. So I'm going to share with you a couple of photos during my narcissistic encounter and also after the narcissistic encounter. So you are going to relate with what I'm talking about. If you're a person who is a victim of narcissistic abuse, you are going to definitely relate where am I coming from and what am I talking about. And then after the photos, we are going to go deeply and dive into the soul tie. Let's do this. Welcome back, people, and a good morning, good evening, and a good afternoon to all viewers from all walks of life. This is Denzomos, and I welcome to the page of truth, enlightenment, freedom, and the page of breaking empaths free. So, if you're just finding my page and narcissism resonates with you, if you may be an empath or even then narcissism resonates with you, I welcome you to join our tribe, join our community, like our page, share, subscribe. For the ones that have always been with me, I welcome you back, and I thank you for being part of this tribe, and I thank you for being part of this community. I thank you for your love and support. Now, this video has been inspired by, I spoke with a client recently, and so we're talking about a soul tie. Now, basically, as a person who is enlightened, as an enlightened individual, I prefer to talk about the soul tie because I understand how energy works, and I understand deeply the spiritual aspect of narcissists and narcissism. But in psychology, psychology terms and science has usually used the word trauma bond. So they have usually related this situation to be some kind of a trauma bond. So either way you want to look at it, and other people, of course, probably who are not very deep into narcissists, they talk about entanglement, they talk about situationship, they talk about a relationship. So whichever you want to look at it, my channel, I dive into the spiritual aspect of narcissism. So you've heard me definitely talking about soul ties. Now, the photos you've just checked, the pictures you've just seen in this video, that was me. That was me during Some of the pictures were in towards the end of the relationship, and some of the pictures actually I made them after the discard. So those pictures were made in the last moments, and the reason why I was making those pictures was because I was trying to start to document this situation, because I started to prepare. I knew there might be a court case coming soon, so I started to prepare myself just in case anything happens. So I started to document a lot of things. Actually, there is even some pictures I don't want to show you. There's some pictures I don't want to publish. Those ones I've just left them for myself. But if you look at those photos and those pictures and you look at me now, you can see a very clear difference. And you're going to realize that actually there is two different individuals in those pictures. The pictures then and the person you're looking at now. So why am I talking about a soul tie in this video? The narcissist, the very first thing they do when they meet you, and again, like I've always said, I've met so many of them. So the pattern is the same. The procedure, the playbook, they're reading from the same story. The playbook is always the same in all the narcissists I've met. The very first thing they try to do is to capture your soul. When you sleep with somebody, you don't only sleep with them physically. It's not about sleeping with them and having sex with them or something like that. No, that's not how it works. There is more to that, because there's that energetic connection between the two of you. So usually when that thing goes on and on and on with the person that is actually very toxic, that person will tie you up. Now, there's nothing wrong with the soul tie. You can be tied, your soul can be tied to somebody who is a healthy individual. You can be tied and addicted to somebody who is actually healthy. And your relationship with them is reciprocated in one or the other. But with a narcissist, it's a narcissist and a narcissistic relationship, it's a one-sided relationship. So you will never find balance in that relationship. So most of the cases, what happens is that you get entangled, you get tied up to those individuals energetically. The pictures that I've shown you, I was struggling. The pictures you've just seen, in those moments, I was struggling, actually, to stay with the narcissist. So I was fighting to stay with somebody who was already abusing me, and the abuse was actually visible. It had come to that point whereby the abuse was now in front of my face. I would see the abuse in front of my face. The narcissist was telling me things I would not understand. The narcissist was doing things I would completely not understand. I wouldn't even digest. It was very, very difficult and very painful in those moments. But at the same time, I was struggling to stay with the narcissist. So I noticed in those moments that I couldn't actually let go of somebody who was even abusing me in the first place. The abuse was visible. I couldn't let go of the person who was abusing me. That time I was not yet awakened, so I hadn't yet figured out that I was dealing with abuse. So I couldn't yet understand what was going on. I knew there was something difficult and very dangerous, but I knew actually that there was something deeply spiritual going on. Even that I didn't know what exactly it was. So the relationship actually, that time, that was my most intensive, actually, in those days. The end of the relationship and after the discard, that was my most intensive, it was the most intensive pain I've ever felt and experienced with the narcissist. So I was struggling to stay with somebody who was toxic and very, very dangerous and abusive. And at the same time, whenever I would come even close to the narcissist, I would then beat myself up. I would think that now, why have I even come back to this individual in the first place? So I would leave and come back at the same time. I would leave, but staying away was difficult, so I would come back to the narcissist. What am I trying to talk about in this video is that when you tied with the narcissist emotionally, you tied to them energetically. So when I'm talking about energetic ties, that means that it does not matter how far you live, how far you go away from them, how far you move. There is always that emotional connection that is going to drag you back to those individuals. So it will take an awakening to understand this. It will take a full awakening actually to break free from the narcissist. It will take an awakening to separate yourself from these individuals because you are tied to them energetically. So in this video, I'm going to help the people. I want to help you guys understand how to break a soul tie. The very first thing you have to understand is that at that moment in time, especially towards the end of the relationship and even sometime after the relationship, you're vibrating at the same frequency, just like the narcissists themselves. So for the most of you who have been, especially those of you who are in a relationship, you have been sleeping with them, or even sometimes you have got very, very close, but like very serious friendships with them. In most of the cases, before you leave them, actually, you are vibrating on the same frequency. So when you leave them, that vibration, you go with that frequency. You can live and go with that frequency. It does not matter how far you go, where you run, whatever you do, you are still on that frequency. And most of the cases, you are tied to those individuals who you have been with before the end of that relationship. So what happens is that for you to understand how energy works, when you leave those individuals, the very first thing that helped me in my journey, I became aware of energy. I understood that this thing was spiritual because in my eyes, in front of me, I was seeing, I was almost looking at the demon themselves, the devil itself. People, if you are still doubting, for those of you who are still doubting whether you're reading about Satan in the books and you're reading about Satan in the, people are telling you in the Bibles or whatever, people, let me tell you something. If you are dealing with a narcissist, you have seen evil firsthand. You are dealing with the devil themselves. So what you need to understand in this video, for you to break free, for you to understand how to break free from the narcissist emotionally, not physically, even if you have gone away physically, how to break free emotionally, you're supposed to understand, you're supposed to make yourself aware of how energy works. So when you leave those individuals, what am I trying to say here? What is the point? What am I trying to drive to? So when you leave them, when you separated with them, most of the scientists and the psychologists or even sometimes life coaches, the very first thing they have told you is to stay as much as you can, no contact. When you stay no contact with those individuals, what are you doing by that? You are blocking that energy actually from reaching you. Energy is everything, and everything is energy. Energy can be transferred through text messages. Energy can be transferred through photographs. Energy can be transferred through memories, emotions, the things you think about, even sometimes the words you speak. So when the coaches are telling you to stay no contact with those individuals, what are they trying to say is that you have got to block those individuals. When you block them, that is the first step. It is the first step actually you're using. It is the first stepping stone you're going to, that is actually going to help you sometime soon to break completely free from them, because you are blocking that energy from getting to you. So what happens when you stop the narcissist and their energy from reaching you? You're stopping their SMS, you're stopping calling them, you're stopping to call them, you're stopping to associate with them, you're stopping to meet them. You give yourself that space and you understand that that is your safe zone. You create your own bubble. And not for whichever reason will you ever accept anyone, whether the narcissist or even sometimes they're flying monkeys, to enter that bubble. You create your own bubble around you, and that bubble, nobody. It is your safe zone. So you have got a safe zone, and you can never allow anybody to penetrate and even to get in touch. If the person is involved with the narcissist, you can never allow them and accept them to come near you, or even to send you a message, even sometimes to exchange an email with you. So what you're doing by no contact, you are blocking that energy. Secondly, like in my videos, you've heard me talking about healing. So there are many cases I've talked about the procedures you can use to heal. So what you're going to do next is to work on yourself. You engage the things that make you happy. You start going out, you go out more, you go to the gym, you go to yoga classes, you go swimming, you do anything you can do to get your mind straight and to get your minds off the narcissist. You can have to do that, because the very moment you go contact, the basic thing you're going to do next is actually starting to work on yourself. What am I trying to say here, people? I want you to listen very closely. When you initiate no contact, you have blocked the energy of the narcissist from reaching you. That's number one. Number two, when you start working on yourself, you start raising your level of vibration. So you start raising your vibration. So any effort you put in any effort you make to work on yourself, it is raising your vibration to some degree. But on the other hand, people, I want you to remember, the narcissist is staying on the same frequency that you left them. Don't be fooled, people, when the narcissist has moved on, they're with somebody. Do not be fooled, people, with what the narcissist they are showing you online, whatever it is you're hearing about them. Everything is fake and everything is an illusion. The narcissist is on the same vibration. They will never, they don't have the capacity to raise their vibration. So when you work on yourself, you invest in yourself, you have blocked them and they are flying monkeys. So you have created your own safe zone. You have got your own bubble. You're stopping them from penetrating your aura and penetrating your circle. That means that actually you are raising your vibration. Energetically, you're raising your vibration. Any moment when you're raising your vibration, people, you are moving very far away from the narcissistic energy. Any effort you put in yourself and work on yourself, investing time in yourself, doing everything in your power to heal, the more you heal is the more you raise your vibration. So at some point in time, people, energetically, emotionally, even if I'm talking about, in this video, I'm talking about the people who have not yet awakened, but they have found themselves like they're still dragging in, they're going in and out, going in and out. I'm telling you the secret, what you need to do. How you need to understand energy works. When you go out, you block them, you stay no contact, and you start working on yourself. Every effort you put to work on yourself, you raise your vibration to some degree. So when you raise your vibration to some degree, what happens is that the narcissist, energetically, they are still on that low vibration. And at some point, people, when your vibration keeps on rising, what is going to happen is that the narcissist energy can no longer catch up with your energy. So you have the narcissist down there, then you have your vibration, that you're raising your vibration up there. The narcissist is still in the same frequency, which is down there. So what happens is they cannot now resonate and they cannot relate with your energy because you're raising your level of energy, you're raising your frequency, you're raising your vibration. So what happens is that the narcissist energy, they cannot energetically connect with you because you're working on yourself. You don't talk to them, you don't watch their photos, you don't watch their social media pages, you don't visit them, you don't see them. You are completely no contact. It is the initial stage to recovery. So the more you raise your vibration is the more you raise also your frequency, and your energy levels, the more they rise, is how actually you're going to energetically start to detach. Whatever you see people happening in this partnership, everything people have told you in my videos, everything is energy. When you work on yourself and you keep on healing and you try to become the best version of yourself, you raise your frequency, you raise your energy levels, and exactly that is what happens. Later on, you're going to find that actually energetically, you're disconnecting from the narcissist. So the disconnect is going to happen is going to depend on you and how much effort you put in yourself. That is how energetically you are going to be able to break the codes. That is how energetically, it is what helped me in my journey, and I hope it can work for you. That is how energetically you are able to break the codes and to break the chains completely and definitely, permanently from the narcissist. And I can guarantee you, people, if you do what I'm telling you today, in a couple of months later on, the time you meet those narcissists, you're going to feel nothing for them. They can come and stand in front of you, they can come and fool you, they can do whatever they want to do with you. That is what we're talking about later on. Should you happen to meet those individuals later on, you're going to realize that actually you are not affected in any way. No matter what they say, no matter what they speak, no matter what they do, they can never be able to hover you back because you have broken the codes. The hover is usually happening because you have not yet broken the codes. So you are emotionally attached to those individuals. That's why most of the individuals find themselves sliding back, going back into those relationships. But when you break the codes, you work on your energy, you raise your energy, you raise your vibration, you are going to detach completely the codes, because you have got a high vibration and then you've got the low vibration. The two of them cannot meet. So there is no way a narcissist is going to be able to hover you when you're in a very high vibration. It is not possible, people. And most of the narcissists, they know this. When you raise your vibration, people, the narcissist is not going to hover you. They are going to try, should they get the chance, they are going to do their best. But it is going to be impossible for them to hover you because you have already cut the cords. When you cut the cords, people, you're going to realize that actually, even if those narcissists, they meet you, even if they send you a message, even if they call, even if you meet them physically in front of you, you can never feel nothing for them actually, people, because you've already cut the cords energetically. And that is actually what happens finally for you to, that is exactly how you can be able to break the soul tie. The soul tie actually is broken on that same point when you've been able to cut the cords energetically and emotionally and spiritually. So most of the work, what is happening with the narcissist, it's actually spiritual work going on. It is not about packing your bags, leaving those partnerships and going to the countryside or whatever. It's not about separating with them physically. You are supposed to separate with them emotionally. And the only way you're supposed to separate with yourself from the narcissist emotionally is by cutting the cords. So how do you cut the cords and how do you break the chains? You break the chains by working on yourself and investing in yourself and you putting in the work. Because the more work you put in is the more you raise to a higher frequency. And at some point in time, the narcissist energetically is not going to be able to catch up with your frequency. And that is how they're going to realize that actually you've broken the cords and you've cut the cords. So it does not matter what they do, they will never hover you back into those partnerships. So for the individuals who have been with narcissists, you're still figuring out why you're getting hovered in and out. Why is it every other week you can't stop looking at their pictures? Why is it every other week you're looking at their social media pages? Why is it every other week you're worried about what they are doing? You're worried about who they are dating, who they are sleeping with, where they are going, what they are doing with themselves. You are worried about them on a constant basis, constantly. That is because you have emotionally not yet cut the cords. So for those of you who are in that position, you can make use of this video. And as well, if you know somebody who needs this kind of content, because it's a very, very important, useful content. If you know somebody who is struggling with the narcissist, they cannot let them go. You can only share this content with them. It can help them actually to break free and cut the cords permanently with the narcissist. And that is how you're able to get your freedom and become the person you came here to be. People, in my video, that's what I want to say. If it makes sense, if you want to add something down there, I encourage you to drop a comment in the section below. Other than that, people, I'll get back in touch with you. Much love and blessings. Desmos signing out. Peace out.